Hey guys, it's me Chrissy and I'm here with my 2017 wrap-up, book 66 to 70. And so the first thing I read this month well, not the first thing I read this month, but like the first thing I read from 65 to 70 is The Boy with Strange Natives, The Boy with Cappy's Eyes by Paulo Heras and Carlos Zoe Clemente. And I'm gonna say I didn't really like this. I know that there is a reason why this is it's a good idea but poorly executed, or it could have been better. So I think I remember like Clarice from Clarice Reed saying that I will leave a link to her channel below. And like, I mean, I get it, like in his hair you can actually see all of the monsters and ghosts, and then like the drawings look like this. It's pretty good. Like, I would say the drawing is top notch. However, the plot, I just didn't get it. Like, I mean, I kind of got it, like, he's not supposed to go to the back of the house, but he does, and he does it alone, and then because of it, he ends up punished by ghosts, and he can only see ghosts. So that's pretty much what I got from it. And this is the only time I've ever asked, like, my friends, like, what does this mean? Because normally I can pretty much figure out what it is by myself, but this time I was like, what does Cappy's Eyes mean? I thought it was, a thing or like a curse in the Philippines, because you know we are full of that. Like, we have lots of like monsters and stuff, fables and myths, and that's really cool. But like, I was like, maybe I don't know about this one. It turns out I think Cappy's Eyes, or like Cappy's, is referring to the shells that we have here that are like kind of milky and they're really pretty. So as you can see, he doesn't have like a pupil, so that's why they're white, and because he's only seeing ghosts. And also, I think a friend of mine was saying maybe it's referring to the province where there are ghosts there. I'm like, is that province like famous for having ghosts? And then she said like, yeah. So it's like, oh, okay. Which is also something that like nannies use to make sure kids don't go somewhere that they're not supposed to go. Like, they always say like, don't go there, there's mumu there, which is pretty much like saying don't go there, there's a monster there. Instead of saying monster, we say mumu. So that was kind of like my childhood. The next thing I read was Bagong Bayan, Act 1, and it's by oops because the title, okay, it's by Reg Tolentino and Jap Miquel. There, you can see that. The art here is actually really nice. Like, it's like that. And this is basically a graphic novel. I would say graphic novel, or like comic thing, or like maybe it's just a novel with illustrations. But anyway, it's a story about the alternate history of the Philippines, and it's an alternate telling of it with magic, which I actually didn't think would be included here, but I'm finding that I love it. Like, the idea that these warriors, or the thief, can get the spirit of a certain animal and become as fast or as predatory or as strong. And then there's the impersonator, who is a mestizo, or like a halfie, who impersonates the Spanish army or the Spanish guard in order to steal from them. And he treats his men sort of like it's a business, like, oh, I pay everybody. But while the thief, though, he's like, you know, he has one rule, it's called no heroics, and they basically just it's like a Robin Hood kind of thing, steal from the rich but they keep it. But his brother like steals from the rich but gives it to the poor, and so like he has a problem with that. But I find it interesting because they even mention things in our own history, like that eye doctor in Spain. So that was pretty cool. I found this to be fast-paced and interesting, but at the same time, like, they spent half of this introducing the main characters and building the plot, but then towards the end it just sort of overshadows what they're trying to do. It doesn't really like dive in like what they were doing earlier, and so maybe they'll I can't wait to see what will happen in the second issue. And there were also a like parts of it sometimes I got lost because I couldn't understand where the story was going. And there are somebody mentioned on the Goodreads comments that there were some typos, and then I was like thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, there were, but I thought that was just me noticing stuff, or like maybe I thought I read it wrong, but no, there were some typos. So actually, this is a very solid start to a series that I am looking forward to, and I hope that it improves as it goes on, because this is a very, I'm probably saying interesting a lot, but this is a very interesting way of looking at Philippine history and how it could have been different, or how like we wish it was different. So that's it. After that, I was sort of like saturated with reading a lot of the like Filipino fiction, mostly because most of what I read was actually short stories, a short story collection. So by the end of it, I felt like I read so much, but really I didn't. I just read like 2-3 books plus graphic novels. So I was like, I need a break. So I picked up The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli, and I've had this on my to-read list since forever, since I found out about it. And it's pretty much Machiavelli talking about Cesare Borgia, which that was cool, and like his ups and his downs, as well as Roman emperors and how it shaped Rome, Italy. So that was really cool, and to see like Niccolo's actual love for his country and stuff. So that was awesome, and I really do highly recommend this because it opens up a lot of thought, or like avenues for thought when it comes to politics and statecraft and how, and like all that stuff. And then I picked up Instructions on How to Disappear by Gabriella Lee. I was really interested in reading this after hearing Winna and Clarice talk about it, and this is another collection of short stories. But what I like about it is I was actually surprised at how into it I got. Like, I was sucked in each and every story, and I wasn't bored with any of them. And not just that, but they left me, I mean, each one ended just right. They weren't too long and they weren't too short. And when it did end, it was just perfect. And not only that, but when the stories were different, but at the same time she incorporated like the same elements per story, or like the same radio station or something like that. But she didn't just dwell on the past of the Philippines or the present. She looked to the future, and I don't really read or consider like looking at a lot of Filipino science fiction, mostly because I don't really think there is any, or maybe if there is, you guys please recommend. I was actually pretty interested because she talked about, there were some stories here based on the future of the Philippines, or like a future version of the Philippines, and I think she wrote some of this during the presidency of one of our former presidents, who was a woman, and so they named it here Lady President. So I'm like, I know who you're talking about. But that was really cool because we are given to looking to our past or to our present, but I rarely find stories that look to our future, or even just a fictional scientific dystopian version of it. That was pretty cool, you know? So I highly recommend this if you can find it wherever. And last but not least, I picked up The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. This is a memoir by Jeanette Walls, and there's also a movie on it. It's about her growing up in her strange childhood. Like, every time, like, her dad would wake them up in the middle of the night and say, take one thing, and then they leave to go like across the country, and to start again, because their dad wants to build the glass castle for them once he makes this like machine to dig gold. So it's a very interesting story, and I really don't want to like super spoil you guys, because I think the beauty of the story is not knowing much and then just diving into it. So if you haven't read it, I really think you should. Also, memoirs are what I'm choosing to read for nonfiction November. And because I have a lot of them, and I really like memoirs because to me they feel far more personal than like a biography or an autobiography kind of. Oh, but one more thing about The Glass Castle is that Jeanette Walls is a journalist, I think, and the way she writes is very engaging, almost like an article that you'd read. It's not too long, and she doesn't rant in this memoir, which is what I really like, because like I remember reading another book, The Scientist by Mark Roth, and in it he sort of rambled on about his feelings about his dad, or what his dad was probably feeling about him in their family life, you know, like he rambled like a lot. But this one, you don't get that. You're just left to assume for yourself, or like think for yourself how you feel about this situation as a reader. Well, her herself, she just explains what happened, like this, and this happened like that. So I find that really cool, and it's nice if you don't like rambling. And honorable mentions, if you watch or follow my Instagram, link down below, I was sent 2 zines from Winna. One is Thunder by Liana Maurice, and the other is Sentimental Ashtray, which is they had a zine launch for this, and this is Winna's new zine. And Sentimental Ashtray is composed of magazine cutouts, concert tickets, movie tickets, as well as like her prose poetry right there. Yes. And my favorite one is called Posh Lust 3. So I guess I'll be reading to you from it. In the dream we are boys kissing. Afternoon light hits the room like a stone through glass, bleeds blue on paisley patterned wallpaper. The room starts to fill with water, soaking our feet through our leather shoes. Your hair is short, nape bare like a bee sting. I cup a hand over it, shielding fire against the wind. The hems of our pants bloom in the rising tide. My hands go like clockwork, ticking away at the buttons of your shirt, as if nakedness will keep us from drowning. The water is waist high. You remove my coat, loosen my thigh, leave them to sink. Our loafers come away, we are in the ocean. A serpent coils and recoils, scales like black waves in the distance. You and me, we kiss like diving, undo clasp after clasp like love is a ladder. Lips pull apart and bodies slip out of skin. We are women and we can swim. Like, wow. I was actually kind of emotional when I was done reading this, because I just felt like the weight of her like emotion, and like the weight of like what she was, of how she felt about things, or like of each prose poem had like a certain, I keep saying weight, but really it's there. It's like she's handing it to you, like her heart, and like you're just reading it, and I was just like, wow. So, wow. And the next one is Thunder by Liana Maurice. This is actually Winna's copy that was signed by her friend to her, which she accidentally sent to me. So now I have a copy. It's like kind of like being in their friendship, or having a snapshot of their friendship that I get to keep forever. So yeah, Liana Maurice, I think she's an illustrator, so all of these are her drawings, and they're beautiful. And there's also her Instagram photos, I think that's what Winna said. And you have a weather like update right there, and it's like letters about the relationship, going through it and it ending, and then how they choose to deal with it, and how you choose to honor what was left behind from it. And oops, this is just beautiful. And that's really all I can say about this. And oh, also it doesn't say me, her, it doesn't say like her, him, or she. It just is like me and you, or like I and stuff. So you can actually really insert anything into it if you want. That's at least my interpretation of this, and I really liked it. Anyway, that's it. These are all the things that I read, and if you guys want to discuss, please let's discuss down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for sticking around, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!